ATV and shuttle and all these other things amongst ourselves to make ATV success. And we were, I won't say shortly thereafter, but some months thereafter, we're able to get all the agreements in place so we could share the data we needed to.
Bill Harwood, last question from KSC from Mr. Thurkettle. Is there a, just because an editor will ask, is there a number we can put with cost-wise for ATV out of the 5 billion euros? Is there some number that makes sense to use for just the ATV portion? Thank you very much.
Yes, I think the number is 1.3 out of the 5, if I'm not mistaken, and that covers the development of the vehicle and its first flight as well. And that includes the ground segment also, I believe. Huh?
Okay, that's it from Kennedy. Let's go to NASA headquarters now for questions.
Thank you. This is Tarek Malik for Space.com and Space News. I have a few questions. I think for John or Alan, given the success of this initial test flight, this shakedown, if you will, what would a nominal flight for ATV be? Would it be similar to a progress flight of just a few days, or would it be a full 15-day affair?
We most likely will be a bit longer than a normal progress. As we said earlier, we take 10 days, in fact, to get to the ISS station. We believe we can reduce that, but in fact, at the moment, ATV can go to the space station wherever it is. We will not move the space station so it's phased like you might for a shuttle launch or for a Soyuz in progress. So we will reduce the phasing time, but it will still be more than the 2 or 3 days that either Soyuz or the shuttle takes. Most likely will end up 7 or 8 days. It's also a matter of optimizing the fuel to take this big bird up there.
Thank you. And in terms of control from the ground, I was curious, once it does launch, is it a matter of just start and stop that you would be able to do from ground control, or is there, I guess, a more in-depth control for finer adjustments?
No, we can do certainly a lot more than just stopping and starting. I mean, ATV is basically an automated vehicle, and therefore the design is to allow it to go more or less uninterrupted to dock with the space station. But the ATV control center monitors it all the time, and we are able, if things go wrong, to interact in quite a significant way with ATV. If we spot a problem, for instance, we can initiate an escape maneuver and go off and do a thorough checkout of the spacecraft and even patch the software if necessary to allow us to make another attempt at rendezvous. So there is a lot that the control center can do, and that's why we've spent so much time preparing this mission.
Thank you, and I have 2 short follow-ups for Mike as well. Regarding ITAR, I was curious how that affected any kind of NASA support for ATV in specific during flight. I mean, were there hurdles early on, or is it pretty much hands-off and let the other partner centers take care?
No, what I tried to say is we've signed all of our agreements, and so we can communicate any information we need to between ourselves, control center at SUP in Russia, and also the control center in Toulouse.
Thanks. And one last question, Mike. You mentioned earlier, I guess, the air traffic control kind of aspect of it all. And last fall was very busy for the station, and it looks like the spring is shaping up to be more of the same. Is this kind of pace something to expect, or that you're working towards handling, for the future with multiple spacecraft docking and undocking for the future?
Yeah, I'm afraid we're just getting warmed up. If you look at the future, for instance, in 9 and 10, we'll have, depending on how the shuttle works out, we'll have 4 shuttle flights. We're going to 6-person crew. We're looking at something on the order of probably 5 progresses, plus a progress to bring up a module. With 6-person crew, we'll have 4 Soyuzes. So you can do the math pretty quick. We're going to have a spacecraft a month or so, maybe even more. Coming to space station, and it's a joke to say that the crew will do air traffic control, The fact is, though, it's a very complicated process to try to line these spacecraft up to come to ISS, mostly because seldom do they actually launch exactly when they think they will. And so, you have to be able to be flexible. And John said it right. The ATV takes a little longer to get to the station, but ATV also does its phasing as it approaches ISS. That actually gives us some flexibility. If we're willing to spend the gas, we can have ATV come off the ground and start phasing. And if we have another spacecraft that's coming or going or is docked and needs to undock, that would be an added bit of flexibility. So on the one hand, you'd like to shorten the rendezvous and dock time and say, okay, you're going to launch on this day, you're going to dock on that day. That's really a nice way to plan your life. The problem is it gets very difficult to plan your life that way when everybody needs to be that way and launch dates move around. So the key to our success is going to be flexibility amongst all of the spacecraft that are coming to ISS. And I can tell you as a member of 15 nations flying to ISS, every one of them worked very hard to help us reach these compromises. You just saw it with the launch of Atlantis delayed, and we were starting to approach the Progress launch. Talking to our Russian colleagues, they were very quick to pull up their launch date on their Progress for us so that we could slip in right behind them. That was a huge advantage to us. The shuttle guys now are flying basically as soon as they can, which is the 7th, and it's nice we didn't have to push them a couple of days. The shuttle program's been very flexible with us. We have said that if we can put the ATV before them, we would like to do that. And in spite of the fact that we're kind of lining up to do that if we need to, they continue to hold an earlier launch date just in case we can use, just in case we have something about the ATV that says, hey, we really can't get there when we thought we could. They could still fly earlier. And what that does for us is opens up the backside of that shuttle time, so we have more time between the shuttle and the Soyuz, and hopefully can utilize that window back at the end of March, early April. And so really the key for us is not to cruise up there worrying about where spacecraft are as much as the flexibility and the folks that are launching their spacecraft to work with us on launch opportunities. And to date we've been successful, and at this rate I feel good about our chances in the future. But it'll be much more busy than it is today.
Okay, we're back here at the Johnson Space Center for follow-ups. Mark?
Mark Carreau, Houston Chronicle. I had two questions. I gather Leopold Earhart's is sort of the point person on station for this first flight, and if you could if that's right, could you sort of summarize what his duties are to help pull this?